Orlando Magic HQ, what's poppin'? So Magic fans, we are just about 2 weeks away from this year's NBA draft, and I gotta say, within the Magic community, there does not feel like there's as much hype and as anticipation as we've had in years past, something that we're accustomed to seeing with this Orlando Magic team, and it's because us fans and front office truly believe with our own two eyes that we have two cornerstone pieces in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. And now the future of this team that starts with the draft is about putting the right pieces and filling out this roster around both of our cornerstone pieces in Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. And even though we already have some great complementary pieces in Markelle Fultz, in Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., Cole Anthony, the list goes on. Now we can add two more blue chip talented players coming out of the draft to this roster, and that's going to start in today's video when we're going to be talking about the possibility of why the Orlando Magic should draft Gradey Dick. Now, kind of talking about who Gradey Dick is, for everybody that doesn't know, Gradey Dick is a 6'8" two guard from the University of Kansas who just finished up his freshman season with the Jayhawks. He comes in at about 6'8" with an unofficial 7-foot wingspan. Gradey Dick was not only one of the best players in the entire NCAA last season, he was easily one of the best shooters, and he's arguably the best shooter in this year's class. Gradey Dick last season for the Jayhawks averaged 14, 5, and 2, chipped in about a steal per game, and shot splits of 44, 30, and 85% from the line. Gradey Dick, like I said, is one of the best shooters in this year's draft class, and that's exactly why he's highly touted. The Orlando Magic have been searching for a shooter for years, and a guy who we drafted a long time ago in Mario Hezonja was supposed to be the answer for that, but now getting a guy like Gradey Dick and the possibility of landing a player like Gradey Dick would be someone to help out this roster tremendously, considering the fact that the Magic only shot 34.6% from behind the arc last season, which ranked 25th in the NBA last year. Now talking about Gradey Dick's strengths, when you talk about him as a shooter, this guy is phenomenal. Like I said, arguably the best shooter in the entire class. He does a great job creating shots off the dribble, especially with that pump fake. He does a great job with these spot up threes. He does a great job even moving without the ball. And let's even take a look at his shot chart when you talk about what he did last year efficiency wise with the Jayhawks. Gradey Dick does a great job, as you can see on the shot chart at the top of the key, both wings. He's a below average three-point shooter on the corners, which definitely surprises me a little bit, but you can see he can get into the interior. He shot about 56.8% in the restricted arc. But continuing on with Gradey Dick and his strengths overall as a player, what he did for Kansas last year, I think he does a great job moving without the basketball when you talk about cutting back door, slashing towards the rim, and does a great job consistently finding himself around the rim on a lot of these tip-ins or put-back dunks. I do think Gradey Dick is a crafty finisher at the rim. No, he's not no Kyrie Irving or a Steph Curry when you talk about jelly at the rim, but he does do a great job, and he is a willing person to go and run out in transition. And while Gradey Dick's 1.7 assists per game may not stand out to you, I do think he is a capable and very willing passer of the basketball. He will find guys cutting towards the rim and also a lot of shooters at the three-point line. Now talking about Gradey Dick's strengths defensively speaking, having the frame at 6'8" with about a 7-foot wingspan is already going to work to your benefit. And then you're going to talk about his ability to rip and poke the ball away from defenders, driving towards the basket, or whenever Gradey Dick is getting posted up. I think he did a great job laterally moving his feet on the perimeter. If the defender does not have great blow-by speed, I think he does a great job staying in front of the defender for the most part if he doesn't get washed up on a screen. And whenever Gradey Dick was getting back down or a guy tried to drive the ball into him, I think he's got good anticipation on a lot of those recovery blocks, some of those weak side blocks, and really that's where you see his frame and his wingspan come into play. Now talking a little bit about Gradey Dick's weaknesses, let's actually talk on the offensive end first. And while I don't personally believe that there's a lot of weaknesses within his games from the handful of Kansas games that I did watch this past season and then going back over his tape, I don't think he's the best at getting to the rim, putting his head down, and really taking the ball right to the rack in the half-court offense. He definitely needs a screen or he needs a backdoor cut in order to go out there and create a shot in the restricted area, but he is capable of getting downhill, I think really more so in the transition game. Now talking about another offensive weakness from him, I don't think think he's the best individual shot creator, and that's okay. I don't think the Magic would need him to be that, but when you talk about him curling off of screens, really coming off the pick and roll and shooting a three-point shot or the mid-range, whatever it is, I don't think he's a guy you're going to give the ball to in an isolation situation. Let him go one-on-one and try to create a shot for himself or other. I don't really think that fits his playing style. And then the last offensive weakness I would really identify with Gradey Dick is the fact that he's probably just an average athlete at best. He is very capable of getting up in alley-oops, getting up on these putback dunks and some of these layups, but I don't think that he's this world-renowned athlete, and he doesn't really need to be that. But as he continues to grow and develop in the NBA game, I'm sure he can turn into something a little bit more. Then when you get into Gradey Dick and his weaknesses defensively, I don't think he's the best when you talk about him on the perimeter when you have a much quicker defender in front of him, a guy with a quick first step, a great burst of speed and acceleration to get by him and get towards the rim. Gradey Dick does not do a great job with that, but I do think his frame and his size does kind of make up for the fact that he can get blown by on the perimeter. And while he is a willing defender on the perimeter at times and he can kind of hold his own sometimes down in the paint, I think that his anticipation of jumping passing lanes and going out there and kind of grabbing a lot of sloppy passes and sometimes poking the ball away from defenders when they're driving towards the rim kind of makes up for some of those perimeter deficiencies that you see from him. Overall, not a great defender, but he's more than capable of becoming a solid defender with his frame and size at the next level. Really kind of giving my final thoughts and verdicts when it comes to a guy like Gradey Dick is, I absolutely want this guy in Orlando. Whether Jeff Weltman in the front office want this guy at pick number 6 or 11, I don't think he would make it all the way to 11. I think Utah would go ahead and scoop him at number 9 overall, but if Gradey Dick is there at number 6, because the assumption is Scoot Henderson, Victor Wembanyama, and Brandon Miller are going to be gone in the top 3. Maybe guys like Jarris Walker, one of the Thompson twins, or maybe Cam Whitmore will be gone somewhere there in the top 5. The assumption is Gradey Dick is going to be there at number 6. Personally, the Magic absolutely need shooting. The Magic need a guy who can space the floor and help build complementary pieces around Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and they really need that guy who can translate that shooting from college to the next level. And I think a guy like Gradey Dick is someone you cannot pass up on. I desperately want him here in Orlando. And here's how I would see Gradey Dick fitting in with this team. You're going to have a starting 5, in my opinion, of Markelle Fultz and still Jalen Suggs in the backcourt, who I think is deserving of that spot so far. Then you're going to talk about Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and still Wendell Carter right there in the front court. And coming off the bench, I think having that 1-2 scoring punch of a guy in Cole Anthony who's embraced that 6-man role and that combo scoring guard role for the Magic, being our 6-man alongside Gradey Dick, Goga, possibly Bobo coming off the bench, Caleb Houston, maybe Gary Harris. You've got a lot of depth there, and then you're still going to talk about guys like Jonathan Isaac coming back off of injury, and obviously we pray he can consistently just stay healthy. Chuma Okeke, Kevon Harris, the list goes on. I think Gradey Dick really does fit into what this Magic team can do because he doesn't need to be a guy that needs to take the ball at the top of the key and try to create offense for himself or others. You let Markelle Fultz, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner still become the primary ball handlers, and you can allow guys like Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, and the rest of this roster to drive and dish towards a guy like Gradey Dick. Like I said, he's also a guy that's going to be willing to get out in transition, try to create plays for others, and obviously he's going to be a knockdown shooter at the next level. He's gotten comparisons to guys like Brandon Rush, CJ McCollum, a proven Duncan Robinson, hopefully a playoff performing Duncan Robinson like we've seen in this year's postseason. And Gradey Dick to me is just overall a very good player, and I think he fits exactly what the Orlando Magic's needs are right now and for the future of this team moving forward. You could always use shooting in today's modern NBA, and I think Gradey Dick would be the perfect pick at number 6 overall, just my opinion. But Magic fans, we want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys make of the possibility of Dick coming to Orlando? Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And Magic fans, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me on the channel out tremendously. Make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me and Orlando Magic HQ on both of our socials, especially on Twitter. We're very active and we're on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Magic fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. Go Magic, baby. Peace.